Hello and welcome back to the Liverpool Groove. Today, I'm delighted to say joining us is 10-time British champion and Paralympic table tennis superstar, Jack Hunter-Spivey.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, boys.
No
Appreciate it.
problem. How are you doing? You're all good?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Just training, plugging away, doing what I can do. Getting there. Feel like I'm improving, and in times where it's difficult to improve sometimes. So yeah, just thankful I can carry on training and plodding along.
Happy days. So we'll jump straight into it. No, you grew up in Liverpool as a youngster. Whereabouts in Liverpool did you grow up?
So I was originally born in Anfield, in Venmore, so literally right next to the Cop. And my family moved around a bit, so I've lived in Bootle, I've lived in Aintree, I've lived in all sorts really. And at the age of 10, we got bageled in Bootle, and my mum had had enough more or less, and we moved to Widnes when I was 10, where I found table tennis there. So yeah, I've moved around quite a lot in Liverpool, lived quite a lot of places, few houses when I was a kid, but Liverpool and Anfield's probably my home, I'd say.
Perfect.
What school did you go to?
So I went to Ditton Primary Widnes, and then I went to Good Shepherd, which is a special school in where's that, Bootle, I think Good Shepherd is. And I went to, where did I go to in Liverpool? It's gone my mind. Davenhill. To Davenhill and I think he's also, yeah, I went to a few. Yeah.
I'm clueless at anywhere outside Norwich Green and Anfield. Honestly, I have to phone my dad and I remember coming home from Anfield, and he'd gone to my granddad's by the Lancs, and I was phoning him saying I don't know where to go. Only about 10 minutes.
I'm the same, mate. I'm really bad at directions.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, I've read up a little bit about you, and I've read a story that you used to love playing footy as a kid in school and stuff. And then you realise like you're having difficulties and that.
Yeah.
Was that when you realised you had issues and potential illness?
Yeah, so I was born blind and deaf. So when I was first born, the doctor said I'd never walk, talk, do anything. I was just a shell of a baby, more or less. So he told me mum and dad that, I'd be a mute baby. And then 9 months old, my mum was singing in the kitchen, and she noticed me like turn my head. So I always tell her it's bad singing is why my ears have come back. But so I started like listening to different noises and clicking, and a few weeks later my eyesight developed and I could see things. So the age of 9 months, they thought that I was a full able-bodied baby sort of thing, and they were made up. And then 18 months old, I still wasn't able to crawl or sit up on my own or anything like that. Went for scans and CT scans and all that sort of stuff, and got diagnosed with cerebral palsy. So all that means for me is I'm diplegic, which means it's just my legs affected. So I can still stand a little bit. I can still move my legs and everything like that. I just can't walk. I can take a few steps with crutches at best. So I can't really do that. But as a kid, growing up, as my body's developing, I used to walk around. I used to run around. I had splints on my legs like Forrest Gump, but I used to run around and didn't know any difference really. And it was frustrating as a kid because I just thought I was slow. I just thought I was one of them kids. I just couldn't run. Well, I was mad into sports, used to love it, used to do all that sort of stuff, but just couldn't compete with the other kids, and it was so frustrating. And when I found table tennis, I started a youth club in Widnes it was for deprived kids and disabled kids really. Is my mum never had any money at all. We always had the provvy knocking at the door, and she had death coming out of her eyeballs. And my mum struggled with mental health problems all her life. She's diagnosed with bipolar and borderline personality and all that sort of stuff. So growing up around that, it's a very tough environment. And fair play to my mum growing up as a single parent, effectively doing that with me and my brother. So I went to this youth club. We used to get our evening meal, like you used to get a hot meal, make sure you're fed and watered more or less. And they had art and stuff like that, and used to meet other kids in similar situations to you. And there was a table tennis table, and I couldn't play. And with my cerebral palsy, coordination's a massive issue. I'm dyslexic as well, so it's tough to come about hand-eye coordination. But I persevered and loved the quickness of how it was to win points. I love trying to play against your mates and that quick buzz of like, I've just beat you in a point and you beat me in a point and that sort of thing. And there was one of the assistants called Geraldine, really, who took a shining to me and sort of helped me play. And at that point, I never wanted to use a wheelchair. I wanted to just be on my feet. I wanted to be next to Steven Gerrard, and was just frustrated that I couldn't run, sort of thing. So I was playing standing up, but I had to hold onto the table and sit down every few points because my legs were killing me. I just refused to acknowledge that I was any different than other kids. So to cut a long story short, I went to my first table tennis class, which is literally about 5 minutes down the road in Widnes. And my mum, as I say, was very unwell. So Bernardo's took me as like a carer chaperone sort of situation. So I first went down there, and there was a player called Tony Edge who was in a wheelchair. He was in a car crash in the 70s, and he was a lot more disabled than me. He had no grip. He couldn't have no core and all that sort of stuff. So he pulled me aside and said, "Do you want a game?" And I said, "Oh, you're in a wheelchair, lad. I'll beat you easy. I'm not playing you." And he sort of looked at me and went, "Go on," and he beat me 22-0. Didn't get a point of him at all, not anywhere close. And he sort of sat me down and said, "I know you love the sport. I can see you've got potential because you end up hitting the ball and stuff, but you need to start using a wheelchair because you're sitting down, you're crying in agony every point." And for me now, Tony was a massive, not only a mentor on the table, but off the table as well, of adapting to my disability and adapting to who I am. And now I wouldn't change it for the world. If you offered me a pill to take that would make me able-bodied, I wouldn't take it because it's my unique selling point. It's what I do. I try and help other people in that situation, and I understand from how frustrating that can be. But for me, it's me, and I would never change it. So I think growing up, sport has done massive parts for me. But yeah, I think I definitely did. Going back, circling around to your question was, I definitely wanted to be next Steven Gerrard and couldn't.
Well, didn't we all, mate? At least you had a reason. No, do you know what? When I seen your profile, man, on Twitter, and had a look at it, and seen you were a Liverpool fan, I said to Jay, like, it'd be great to get him on because, like, we don't know your whole story, and that's why we're obviously got you on. But it's an inspiration what you do straight away, like to be able to be told, like, you can't do this, you can't do that, but still have a go. It's and get to where you are is amazing. So that's off for you, lad.
Thank you.
Yeah, couldn't agree.
And you just answered loads of our questions in one way. That's the end, everyone. Thanks.
I'll just say it different ways. Be all right. We'll sort it out.
No, you say like Tony helped you. Is that something you see yourself kind of doing more now? I noticed that you are a motivational speaker on your bio as well. So is that something he's helped you in sort of moving on to as well?
Yeah, massively. I mean, I was that frustrated kid that didn't really talk to many people, and especially growing up in high school and stuff like that. I was the only kid in a wheelchair. I was the only kid you've ever had that was disabled. It was either two choices when I moved to Widnes. It was either we put you in a special school, or you'd have to go to the local Catholic school that's got a ramp. That was literally the two choices I had as a kid. So my family being Protestant, I had to bite the bullet and put me in a Catholic school sort of thing. So I'm not religious personally. It made no odds to me, but it was that sort of thing of like there's only one school I could go to. So I was definitely very frustrated, but table tennis was my outlet, and I became Jack in the wheelchair to Jack who plays table tennis. I became one of them people that in PE, rather than just being the goalpost, I can be playing table tennis against people. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of them. They used to stick me in goals, get the ball fired at me, and tell me it's a good save. It bounced off my wheel. Like it's not. I'm just trying to get the way. But yes, I mean, it was one of them things that the perceptions changed of being disabled, and Tony definitely did help with that. But sport has been a massive influence in that as well, of giving me that sort of outlet and giving me a purpose in life, because I don't really know where I would be without it. And the drive that I had when I was a kid, trying to get into GB teams and going up and down trains and having no train fare and trying to get strangers pay for me, getting bunged off trains and sleeping in hotel lobbies and all that sort of stuff to get to where I've been has definitely shaped me as a person. So I just want to give back to other people, and there's plenty of people, especially in Liverpool as well, that are in similar situations that can make something of themselves, and people like me aren't meant to be in my situations, but why not? Like, why can't we? And that's what I'm trying to do now, is inspire the next generation, as well as trying to win all the gold medals as well.
Some goals to have, lad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Were you interested in table tennis before you found the youth club? Or did you ever play before or on Aldi's or whatever? Or?
No, when I was playing standing up, I heard that London won the bid for 2012 Paralympics and Olympics on the radio. This must have been 2008, 2009 sort of time. And I heard they'd won the bid, and I really wanted to be a Paralympian. I really wanted to play in the games, and that was my goal ever since. I went back home and said to my mum, I'm going to be a professional table tennis player. And back then, we Googled it, and there was literally no disabled professional table tennis players. It wasn't a thing. And my mum backed me. She was like, okay, we'll see what we can do. And going to the local club, it was £2.50 a session to go and play. And my mum sacrificing loaves of bread, pints of milk. I remember turning up saying, can I play, but I got no money, or like doing serves on my own. And to be fair, Halton Table Tennis Club are really good, really supported me with that sort of stuff and helped me through it and stuff. So yeah, the goal for me was to be a Paralympian. It's a bit strange talking about it now, looking back, because it was never to be Paralympic champion. It was never to be British champion or that. It was to be a Paralympian. My sole purpose was to be the guy on the telly, not watching the telly. That was literally what was driving me and everything like that. So yeah, it's been a crazy old journey, but I didn't even know table tennis was a thing until I found it when I was 10, really.
at what point do you go like, I want to be a Paralympian, and then I want to be the best Paralympian, and I want to win all the titles? Is it as soon as you step foot into it?
Yeah, I think it's one of the things like, it's one of the things where I just got bit by, like, I call it a table tennis bug. So I was a kid at 12 hitting the ball against the wall. I mean, at midnight, annoying my mum, keeping her up. Do you know what I mean? Like, or just practicing my shots in school, looking like an absolute weirdo because I'm just like shadowing me table tennis shots and stuff. It just took over my life, just completely obsessed with it and gave me that sort of purpose. So, and from then on, I watched players on YouTube. There was a guy called Tommy from Norway who is the best player in the world, and I used to idolize him, watch videos of him, and all that sort of stuff. And I'm lucky enough that Tommy's one of my best mates now. We play around the world in team events and stuff. So yeah, it's come full circle in that sort of sense. But it's just given me an absolute drive. And now I've become a Paralympian. Playing in Rio was the dream come true. I'm refocused now. I'm winning the best medals I can do and winning them big world championships and more British titles. I've not lost in 6 years in England, but it still motivates me to win the next titles and not let anyone beat me. That's the way I'm focusing now, is just trying to be the best athlete I can be, really.
Yeah. Was there ever any times when you ever thought to yourself, like, there's no way I can do this, or if you'd always just been completely driven and I'm making this happen no matter what?
I think my mindset's been completely driven, but there's been a lot of obstacles in my way. I think, as I say, growing up, we literally had no money. So when I first got my first GB trial, they said, I think it must have been about 14. They said, come to Sheffield for the week. Oh, for the weekend, sorry. We'll have a look at you. You might get into our development team, you might not, but we'll have a look. And my mum was ringing up credit people and trying to save and all sorts. And she sat me down on the Thursday and said, look, mate, we can't afford the train fare. They were offering expenses to go up and down, but you can't get expenses if you haven't got the money to pay out in the first place. So she sat down and said, look, we can't afford the 25 quid, train fare, let alone a hotel for the weekend and blah, blah, blah. So fast forward comes to Friday. I'm not home at 3 o'clock from school. And she rings me and says, where are you? And I said, I'm at the train station. And she was fuming. And I jumped on a train at the age of 14, 15, jumped on a train, hid in the toilet for 2 hours and got myself to Sheffield. Because I wanted to get the trial. Do you know what I mean? Just like doing mad stuff like that. And thinking back, it's crazy. If I had a kid, I'd leather them. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. But it's just, I just remember doing it because my heart was set on getting to Sheffield. Because if I get to Sheffield, that's my opportunity to earn a few bob for my family. That's my opportunity to try and make something of myself. And that's what I sort of seen it as. And luckily, I got myself into the pathway team, or the development team is what they call it now. And I was there for 6 years. And then I was traveling back and two on weekends, and my mum, once you get one expenses back, you can pay it out, but some weeks we couldn't. So I used to sit on the train and tell the conductor my story and just say, look, lad, I've got no money. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to kick a guy in a wheelchair off a train? Like, what are you going to do? Some of them do, some of them don't. So, like, strangers over here, yeah, and you'd see your GB kit and ask her and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, been through the mill, lad. But 6 years later, I got myself in the performance team, and at 18, I moved to Sheffield and been there ever since, live with students. My first contract from UK Sport was for $7,500, and I thought I was like Floyd Mayweather. I thought I had all the money. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was enough to pay me student rent and a few drinks on a weekend, and I was absolutely buzzing. I was making a living out of table tennis, and that's what I wanted to do. And yeah, I mean, now I don't make it. I make just above minimum wage now, but I'm made up for doing what I'm doing. I'm so thankful in the position I am doing that, and I travel around the world. I've only ever traveled outside of England, really, apart from table tennis, once, I think, to Ibiza when I was about 18 with my mate. So, and I've been lucky enough to travel like most continents. I've been to most countries in the world, like with table tennis. So I'm so thankful at what it has given me, but it has took me a hell of a lot of journey to get there. So yeah, it's been mad.
Massive commitment, isn't
it? Yeah.
So by the sounds of it, lads, it's not all fun and games.
Yeah.
I'm curious, are the rules different for standard and Paralympian?
No, so it's exactly the same. The only difference we have is that you can't serve wide to a wheelchair player. So the white lines on the side of the table, you can serve short as long as the ball doesn't go off the side. But in the rally, it's fair game. So I compete to quite a high level in able-bodied matches as well. Before I left to move to Sheffield, I was ranked number 5 in Cheshire, able-bodied. So I can compete to a good level, able-bodied. Obviously, when it gets to like your top levels, movement's an issue. But like skill level-wise, I'm up there with the top players. I train with the junior England team sometimes, able-bodied, and get good sessions. It's good for both of us. So yeah, I'm definitely up there with it. And it's one of the few sports that you can play disabled and able-bodied. I can say to my mates on a game and nothing really changes. So it's really good sport in that sort of sense.
You just buzz off your mates when you play them.
Oh, it's boss, yeah. One of the best exhibitions I did, because I go around and do exhibitions and talks and stuff. I got asked to do an exhibition in Paddington train station, London. Waterloo train station in London, like peak time, Saturday afternoon, people traveling about, and he just put me on a table in the middle, sat me there and just said, come and play me, more or less. He's got people in to play me. And no one knew who I was. No one literally knew that I was Paralympian. I was professional as my job. And you'd get these kids and trackies running around going, I'll beat you. I used to play in the youth club. I can do all them mad spins and all that. And I'd just batter them. And all the mates are like laughing and all that. And honestly, it's one of the best experiences I've seen, because you get people coming up thinking about, because everyone's got an experience of table tennis. Everyone's played at some point, whether that be a youth club or in the park, or someone's played table tennis at some point in life and think they're boss because they're best in the mates group. But when you play like a professional, it's a different game, isn't it? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, for disability perception, that was an incredible thing to do, because people didn't realise like the level that people can play at. So, yeah, to embarrass people in front of the mates is one of my favourite things to do, really.
that'd be Jay if you played an exhibition game. That'd be it.
I'm competitive, am I? I'm terrible.
I get in taxis and they ask me what I do and all that, and they go, "Oh, can you do all them mad spins like a Chinese?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can do something like that." Yeah, like I just don't get involved. Like it's not involved. Yeah.
So you mentioned, obviously, we mentioned at the top of the show, you're a 10-time British champion.
Yeah.
What was that? What was it like winning that first one? What was that feeling like?
Yeah, the first one was mad. So I haven't lost for 6 years now, but so I'm in the classification system in table tennis. So we have class 1 to 11 in table tennis for disability classes. So class 1 is like your most disabled wheelchair players who we call them tetraplegic or quadriplegic or paralyzed from like the chest down, really got no hand function. They strap the baton to the hand and all that sort of stuff. Class 5 is what I am, which is basically able-bodied sitting down. So I've got full core, full arm movements, full everything. I just can't walk. So I won the British title in class 5, 6 years ago now, and the Open was the big one where all the classes play all the things. And there was a guy called Scott Robinson who was like the good class 5 before he retired, and I was sort of getting up to his level, and he was on the edge of retirement and all that sort of stuff. And I never quite beat him, but as soon as I got that first British title, it was mad because I'd always been the guy chasing, and then I look behind me the next year and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm the can you swear on this? Sorry. Let me just say I was like, oh no. I was like, oh fuck, like I'm the guy that they're chasing now. I'm the one they want to beat because I've got that older trophy, and the whole room sort of changed to like, oh yeah, you're the lad who beats not the underdog anymore. So it was a strange experience, but it was mad to sort of get to that bit and to show people that this might be a viable career option. This might be something I can do. And I've struggled. I've been quite open in the public eye about my mental health struggles and what I've been through with depression and suicidal attempts and stuff like that. And the British title, getting there was definitely a big thing in my life of realizing things to myself and pushing on for my goals. So yeah, I'm proud to be British. So to hold the British title, doesn't matter how many it is, I'm really happy to do it. So
was aiming towards something like that, something that got you out them dark times and
massively,
when you think and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as I said, growing up with my mum having mental health problems, you don't necessarily the impact that has on people when you're a kid. I remember going into mum's room and she's crying her eyes out, and I say, "Mum, what's the matter?" And she'll be like, "Oh, I'm watching a sad film." Or with her bipolar, when she has manic phases and she's bought 4 wardrobes because she couldn't remember the colour of it, and then she's skinned for the next month because she's got no perception of it. It was uncontrollable, and that's just the way you grow up. And then I remember going to my mate's house going, "Oh, your house isn't cluttered full of like stuff," or like, do you know what I mean? Like, or you've got like a shower that's got proper running water, or just stuff like that, like just mad stuff like that. And growing up and seeing it, and I always felt different than everyone else. I always felt like I was a different person. I always felt like my world was a lot darker than everyone else's. And when I first turned professional, I was 18. I was buzzing, but then it got to Rio, and I qualified for Rio. And the qualification process for table tennis is we have to be a certain rank in the world to qualify. And I was going through my darkest times trying to qualify for Rio. I dropped from number 12 in the world to number 20 odd. And I think I needed to be like number 10 to qualify. So it got to a stage where I was 2 years in and my coach said, "Look, we funded you to all these tournaments. We know you're young, but at the end of the day, your job's to qualify and you're not doing it," more or less. So he said, "You've got 2 more tournaments. If you don't qualify, then we might have to drop your funding." That would be my job, my career, my wages, a lot gone from what I'd already done. So it accumulates down to I played the China Open, and I had to win the competition effectively. So I played in the semi-finals, and in table tennis we play the best of 5. So we play up to 11 points, 5 sets. So I was 2-1 down in sets and 10-9 down in points. So if I lose one more point, I'm a goner. Like, I've not qualified, not done it. And I managed to turn it around and win the match and qualify. And it was them sort of times that shaped me as a person. But I remember when I qualified and I was elated and stuff, I remember sitting in my thing just thinking, I fucking hate myself. Like, I remember looking at myself in the mirror, and I got to a stage in my uni place and in my room where I turned all the mirrors around in my room. I covered all the door reflections up. I couldn't face myself because I absolutely hated myself and I didn't know what it was. And I went through like a breakdown really when I was about 19, 20 of I went going to training. I was turning up late. I was going in the same clubber. I was stinking. Like, I was crying every session. I didn't know what was happening. And luckily we had a psychologist on board for the table tennis team. And he said, look, what's the matter? And I used to give excuses saying my washing machine's broke or the tram was late or anything like this. And it got to a point where they were like, no, what's up? Like, what we can see, there's a change in here. And yeah, I just broke down crying saying I absolutely hate myself. I don't want to be here anymore. I've suicidal thoughts every day. And from there, I was lucky enough to get the help I needed, and I've been through countless amount of therapies. And even around town in Rio, probably 3-4 months before the Paralympic Games, I remember sitting in my bedroom and I rang my mum saying, "Can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. This is the end." So I think I had tablets in my hand. And I'm just crying my eyes out uncontrollably, trying to take these tablets. And my roommate luckily run in and took them off me, and I went to the hospital and all that sort of stuff. And that's happened 3 times in my life, just going through them dark places. And mental health's one of them crazy things because it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter whether you're a professional athlete or a bin man or whatever you are. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much money you've got and anything like that. It's such a crazy thing. And I was just so lucky that I had someone there to reach out to me. And luckily now I'm in such a better place. Like, I met my girlfriend Lucy 4 years ago. She's an absolute godsend because I was in a state when I met her. She was there. I was more or less Neanderthal. Like, when I met her, I was literally living on my own, pot noodles in my undies. I used to eat off paper plates because somebody else doing the washing up. Like, literally, I was feral, more or less. So, like,
proper student.
Yeah, I was more or less a student, but the problem is I was like 24 and I was full-time athlete. That's the problem. but now I'm a different person, and I just want to go out there now. And now to feel like mental health's never gonna. There's no cure for it. I'm still taking tablets and still seeing my therapist and stuff, and I'm really helpful for that. But I just want to go out there, and not a lot of athletes come out with mental health problems when they're still competing. A lot of athletes come out when they're retired and say, "Look, when I was playing in football, I had depression," but no one says, I am a footballer, I am a table tennis player, and I happen to have mental health problems. And I was the one of the first few that came out and said, "Oh, I do have these problems, but I'm still one of the best players in the world. Like, look how I'm dealing with it." And that was what I sort of wanted to do. And I'm using table tennis as a vehicle to raise awareness of that because it is such a silent killer. I've been there myself. And I think actually looking back now, as I feel like I'm in a totally different place, I feel like my table tennis has improved because I've been through that. Because if I lose a point in the table, it's not life and death because I've been in life and death situations, to put it bluntly. It doesn't feel like it's the end of the world because I know what the end of the world feels like. I know what it feels like to try and jump. I remember once, it's funny looking back now, but I get a tram to from training. And I was at the Press one day. I remember sitting in front of on the tram stop. And I'm going, all right, I'm going to jump in front of this tram now. Getting ready, like that, fucking pumped to jump in front of this tram. And I go and the tram just stops because the tram stopped. I didn't even think. I was like, oh yeah, it just stopped, doesn't it? Like, I just got on it and went home. Like, but I was just ready to, do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of them things that looking back, it's absolutely crazy. And it doesn't feel like I'm talking about myself. But going through that it doesn't feel like half as bad on the table. I think it definitely has shaped me to be the fighter I am on and off the table because I've been through so much, and I'm just so thankful I've got that foundation in place now and I'm on the other side of it. So if anyone's listening who's going through stuff, just reach out, just literally speak to someone. It doesn't have to be therapist. It doesn't have to be a big cry for help. Just check in, say I'm not doing all right, because everyone has ups and downs. You boys will know. Everyone's been through ups and downs. Not everyone has to be suicidal or depressive to have mental health issues. Mental health, everyone has it. Everyone has physical health. If you broke your arm, you go to the hospital. If you weren't feeling very well in your head, you should speak to someone. It should be the normal thing to do because mental health is something that everybody has, and everyone has ups and downs. I still have ups and downs. I'm not perfect still, but that's life. Like, you know what I mean? Life's a roller coaster, as Ronan Keating said. So I think you've just got to reach out and talk to people because everyone's going through the same boat and you're not alone. I think that's one of the biggest things I can't stress enough. Is that's one of the biggest things I say is you're just not alone. So yeah, it's a bit
quality
heavy.
statement, lad. I think it's amazing how open you are, and even that way you're laughing about you're about to jump in front of a train or a tram.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, as the saying is, if you don't laugh, you cry.
Absolutely,
and you've got to, haven't you?
Yeah.
Going on about like the thoughts you've had and being that dark, the pressure put on you to qualify for Rio. What was the moment like when you qualified and that ball's at the floor and you're going to Rio? What's that like?
Yeah, I remember it so clearly. I was in China and it was snowing for some reason. I don't know why it was snowing in China, but I didn't know China had snow. I just thought China was hot. So I turned up with a week's fill of t-shirt and shorts. Like literally didn't have any other clothes with me at all. So I thought China was hot. So like it was snowing. I remember it looking outside my bedroom window. My mum doesn't know what's going on. And I ring my mum and I'm getting on the phone I'm crying my eyes out to get to my hotel room. I ring my mum and I say, Mum, I've made it. I'm going to be a Paralympian after all these years. And she goes, why are you fucking ringing me from China, my phone bill? No, she didn't really. So I rang her and I said, oh, Mum, I've qualified. I'm going to be a Paralympian. And we both just absolutely broke down. She didn't even cheer or anything. I could just hear her sobbing. And it still chokes me now to think about it because I just remember hearing that sort of, I don't know if it was relief or pain or whatever, but we both been through so much. Like I've been through my mum struggling with their mental health to her, sacrificing food and bread for me to go to a table tennis session, for me to do all that, to put her through hell, jumping on trains and stuff because she believed in me to be a Paralympian. And it finally happened and it's just a mad experience. And it's something that I'll never forget is that phone call ringing my mum in China and just pouring me out to her and saying I'm finally doing this. So I think one thing when I'm talking about health problems as well, a lot of people say to me, oh, is table tennis the pressure? Is it because playing table tennis? Is that what made you think? But for me, I find table tennis that outlet for me. I find that's the reason why I got up in the morning. That was the reason why I was accountable to get to training. And I feel like I was an artist. I feel like I'm going out and portraying my actual self when I'm on the table. I'm a big wrestling fan, like a big WWE fan. Yeah, I know it's not real. I'm 25, but like I'm a big.
Not real.
Sorry, I'm 30. I still watch it. Don't worry,
mate. I love the wrestling. And me and the missus, we travel up and down the country watching wrestling shows, and I sort of see that arena when I play table tennis is I'm playing a character. If I'm not feeling well behind that curtain, when I go out there, I'm trying to portray this Jack, this confident, world number 8 table tennis player, this player that's not lost in God knows how long in the country. It doesn't matter how I feel because that ball's not asked how I feel. The opponent's not asked how I feel and thing because I'm trying to portray who I can be. So that's me going on stage. That's me being that actor sometimes, and that's what I try and do. And if I didn't have the outlet, God knows what I'd do because it's something that I'm really thankful I've got, and I've found that avenue to sort of express myself in that way because I can't draw, I can't sing, I can't dance. So table tennis is my sort of way of expressing myself as much as I can. So yeah.
You're not too bad at it, are you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, mate, to be fair, so I can't complain.
Would you kind of say that getting to Rio then was like as much for your mum as it was for you?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I would say is I'm basically like the lead singer of a massive orchestra, like a band. So there's people behind me that have helped me who don't get any credit. So I remember when I was a kid in Widnes trying to get around tournaments, because what I've left out here is that you've got to travel around the country to play tournaments and all that sort of stuff. There's people like Joe Ty, who was just a local league player in Widnes, who realised that I was skint and couldn't get around. And he used to take me to tournaments. He used to drive me at bloody 3 o'clock in the morning to London or just off his own back because he wanted me to achieve. And there's loads of people I can rattle off a name of people that have helped me so much in my career. And I'm the lead singer of this mad band that I've created. And I'm just lucky that I'm the one who gets the credit for it. But it's definitely an accumulation of me getting to Rio. And although I didn't get a medal, to be a Paralympian, it's such a massive achievement for me and my family. And I'm lucky enough now I mean, full disclosure, I earn £14,000 a year from UK Sport, which I'm eternally grateful for. That's all pay me bills and stuff. But I'm able to give my mum a few bob now if she needs it. I'm able to help out my little sister and all that sort of stuff. And that's all I wanted from table tennis, and to be a Paralympian and to be able to be self-sufficient and make something of myself and feel like I'm getting there and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely a family thing as well. I'm just lucky enough to get the credit for it and do things like this. So yeah, it's mad.
Unbelievable. What was the experience like in Rio when you were over there? Like it must have been once life changing.
Oh, it's mad. Like, you know, when you watch films and something like dreams come true, it's better than that. Like I honestly don't know how to explain it. So we got on the team bus. So you do first of all, you go to like all your kit fittings and you go to your openings and your all that sort of stuff. And you go to Westminster to meet everyone and all that keeper. But we went to the team bus. So we go into the airport and it's about 4 a.m. and I'm tapping everyone going, I'm going to Paralympic, going to Paralympics. And I remember the psychologist turning around and going, Jack, I know you're excited, but everyone's getting pissed off at you just like talking. It's like 4 a.m. on the team bus going to the airport because all these other people in the team have been to Paralympics. So I was absolutely buzzing. And I think for me, like, I was a Paralympian for that 2 weeks. I was living in a bubble. I was in the athlete village. I was doing mad stuff on Channel 4 and I was on the last leg and I was just meeting some incredible people. And my performance wasn't great because I played a Brazilian first match and I was like, oh my God, I'm live streaming on 6 different countries here and I'm on that massive telly in front of me and I can see my own face 20 foot in front of me, in front of a crowd of 5,000 people that don't want me to win. Do you know what I mean? Like, so like it was a mad experience playing a Brazilian and I didn't get out of my group. I didn't play well, but I needed that experience in order for me to go to Tokyo now and smash it because I know what it's like. No, you can have all these seminars and Zoom calls and all that stuff that we do to get prepared. The best preparation to win a Paralympic medal is to play in the Paralympic Games because you literally can't fathom how much it is to do. Like even I remember going through the crowds and just getting mobbed by people, just getting pictures and autographs and all that sort of stuff. I had security yanking the back of my chair, getting out of crowds, couldn't breathe. Like it was just mad experiences, like just going through it. And yeah, I think that I'll definitely use that going ahead and not going like headless chicken and going in for performance, not just to go, oh my God, I'm not having that telly. Do you know what I mean? Like I think I'm over that now. It's been a few years of me being in the public eye at the moment. I was like, I've got a blue tick on Twitter. Look at me, yeah. I've got no followers, but I've got a blue tick. Do you know what I mean? Like it's one of them things. So yeah, I think going into Tokyo, I'm definitely better prepared because I've had that experience in Rio and it was such a surreal experience and something I will absolutely never forget. But I'm looking now to obviously take medals and hopefully you boys let me back on the podcast. If I do bring back a medal, you never know, might come back on.
Come back whenever, lad.
Thanks, mate.
I'm going to put a light on because I'm disappearing into the abyss here.
I was going to say something, but
yeah, there you go.
Luckily, he noticed on his own.
Back in the room. There you go. I look better than that, like, but you know. What's the preparation like for Tokyo now?
Yeah, this year's obviously been a mad one with the pandemic and stuff. So the start of lockdown, I was buzzing because I had a week off training. I was like, oh, my body's killing. Boris said he got 2 weeks off here. Do you know what I mean? I was made up. But then, so basically for Tokyo, I was safely qualified. So I had to be top 8 in the world. I was sitting at number 7, buzzing, 50 points into the qualification period. But coach said, don't have to play any more tournaments because I was more or less done. We've got one in the buffer just in case. But the guy below me is 55 points. And to end that in one competition, very difficult. So the pandemic comes along and I was sound qualified, just wait till things play out. And there was one tournament left that got played in Poland that I didn't play, but the guy below me played. The world number 1 played as well. His chair broke on the flight. He still played the tournament for some reason. He lost to the guy below me, who ended up making enough points to go above me on the ranking list. So I'm sitting there thinking, I'm 4 points behind here, but I've got this tournament in the buffer. He's not going to it. To make 4 points up, I need to beat 2 duffers in the group. Do you know what I mean? I just need to get 2 points for me to go to Tokyo. I was fine. I was going to the Italian Open. And then the pandemic hits and then they shut everything. And they go, okay, everyone who's qualified. We're not playing any more tournaments. And I was like, I'm out of the qualification. I'm not qualified for Tokyo. So the position I'm in now is that they have a qualification tournament. So luckily for Tokyo, what they brought in was they have a last chance competition, more or less. So if you win that competition, you go into Tokyo. There's one ticket left, more or less. So that's getting played in June this year. But I'm number 1 seed. I'm feeling really confident going into it. I've beat everyone that's entered it. Obviously, I've got to play well in the day and handle all that and stuff. But I'm just training my arse off trying to get there. And it was such a surreal thing for this year because last March, I didn't know my arse, my elbow. I was waking up at like 2 in the afternoon, going to sleep at 7 in the morning. I didn't know what was going on because I didn't have no structure. I didn't have a clue how the world, just like everyone else, I didn't have a clue what was going on. It was unprecedented. I remember ringing our Chris, my brother, and he's so relaxed, like literally, something the welcome me on fire, and he just ring me like, oh, I'll be all right, lads, don't worry. Like, he's one of the people. So like I rang him and he was like, what are you stressing for? This is the new normal. He said, this might go on for years. This is the new normal. Get used to it. I thought, all right, what can I do? So I ended up doing like ab circuits in the house and trying to structure my day. And luckily the squad were able to give us tables that got delivered to our house. So we had table tennis tables in the house. But I live in a small flat in Sheffield. I had about 1.5 foot each side in my whole living room for this table. So for 6 months, more or less, me and the missus are eating our dinner off the table. I'm climbing underneath it to watch the telly. Like, I'm doing me gym workouts under the table. Like, we lived in a bedroom for 6 months because I was trying to train on this table, and I'm lucky that I've got Lucy that supports that. But just mad stuff like that. And I think it's really shown me how appreciative I am of being able to train, because I'm in a position now where we've got a purpose-built full-time hall in Sheffield in the Institute of Sport. We're spoiled. Do you know what I mean? We've got the best flooring, best tables, best coaches. We've got all the best like posters up around the lot. But then when that's all taken away from it, how can you still improve? And that's what I really took from it, is it doesn't matter where I am, I can still try and improve some way. So I was trying to fitness, I was trying to lose weight, I was trying to work on my serves because I know what to play against and all that sort of stuff. So it's been a mad year. I'm not going to lie, it's been a mad year, but I'm just looking at me able to train now, and I feel like I'm making gains. The only thing I'm struggling with at the moment is I haven't got a clue how good my opponents are, so it's absolutely driving me to be better. Because it's like, if you're a boss at making cakes and you thought, I'm going to go on the bake-off, and you thought my cake's a boss, but then you go on the bake-off and Paul Hollywood goes, shit, that. Like, you don't know that shit because you think it's boss, because no one's judged it. And no one's judged my table tennis for 2 years. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how good anyone else's cake is. Yeah. So that's why I'm sort of seeing it as of like, I don't know where my level at. So I'm just hell-bent on trying to get my level as best I can. And hopefully it's still better than everyone else in the world, and I can get that plane ticket for Tokyo. So yeah, hopefully June when it comes round, I'll be playing a competition.
Maybe supporting you, lad.
Thanks, mate. Yeah,
definitely. And we'll get, like you say, we'll get you back on when you've got a gold medal round your neck.
That sounds good, mate. That sounds good to me.
So moving on to the Reds. What was your first memory of like watching Liverpool?
All my memories of Liverpool, I don't know what my first one is because it's always been surrounded by me. All my family are Reds, obviously born in Anfield. My dad's a season ticket. All my dad's side of the family are Reds. It's only my nan that's a blue. Like, my nan, funny enough, she lives facing the Kop, which is a blue, like in sheltered accommodation. So she's a bit of blue as well. But apart from that, all my other family are Reds. So it's just something you're born into. And I just remember watching it. My biggest memory I've got is at the age of 10, the Champions League final, 2005 is probably my biggest memory of thinking about it, because my mum had a Bijou telly. I don't know if you remember them, but you'd put £1 in, you used to get like an hour. So you pay off the telly by putting the pounds in the side of the telly.
The fella would come and collect the money.
Yeah, the bloke used to come and collect the money, and if he didn't turn up, he'd have to jump behind the couch. Like, just one of the things he used to do. But so I remember it coming round, and we lived in a rough bit of witness, so there was kick-off outside, there's police flying about, something to do with a petrol bomb. I don't know what was going on, but I remember just sitting there, I've been looking forward to this in months, our Champions League final, Liverpool are in it, and then we go 3-0 down, and I'm just a 10-year-old, just absolutely crying my eyes out in my little seat, thinking, oh no, I've wasted me quid, I've been saving up for this, I'm 3-0 down, we've not won. The first goal goes in and it goes, oh, at least we've not been battered. Second goal goes in straight away, and oh my God, we've got a chance here. I remember just like, obviously we won and went on doing all that, but I just remember cheering around the living room. And Mum was like, oh, what's going on? I said, we won the Champions League. Goes, that's nice, isn't it? I was like, oh, what? We won the two, just 3-0 down, like she just hasn't got a clue. So that's one of the memories of just being absolute massive Red. And being obviously a witness of me being Scouse, like there was a lot of United fans, a lot of Liverpool fans, so there was a lot of banter flying around school and just going in like 10 men. We won the Champions League, and that's one of my biggest memories. Thinking the club for me is more than just a football club. I think you boys will know as well that they talk about the 12th man in the pandemic and how the crowds are not there and stuff, but I think Anfield's an absolute fortress for that. Like, I don't know any other ground that it's such a big difference. No one talks about it enough. Like, people are saying, like, oh, Liverpool away form is not good. I'm like, well, it's just a different bit of grass. There's no fans. Like, what? How different can it be? Because I've been at Anfield and the chills that go through it. There's no a chance that you'd want to be in front of that crowd if you're not a Red. I don't know. Don't care who you are. You don't want to be in front of that crowd. I remember going to the quarterfinals when we played City. It must have been 2008. I went to the match, and Sterling warming up on a touchline straight in front of us. And the abuse he's getting, or like people screaming at him and stuff. And I was in the disabled bit. This is a funny bit as well. So there's a bloke behind me, just absolutely red at rage, shouting stuff at Sterling. And he runs up to Sterling, gets his wallet out, chucks a £5 and goes, yeah, you money grabbing bastard. Chucks a £5 and he looks at me and goes, oh shit, I've just lost a £5. Like, they're just like, just got a rage. Just like, just the passion of Liverpool fans you don't get anywhere else. And luckily enough, traveling around the world and everyone talking about Liverpool, it's something to be, we're famous for it. It's an absolute, it's a famous ground. a famous pitch. So I think one thing that's not talked about the pandemic, and coming from a sports point of view, is how different that must be as an athlete to not play in front of a crowd. You look at players like Milner, who've been playing for years and years and years in front of a crowd, have been through the same routines of going to the training ground, training with these players, going on a team bus, blah, blah, blah. That must have all changed. And for me, it's all changed. We're training in smaller groups where we're not playing in tournaments. We're not allowed to sit with our... That must have changed for the Liverpool players. And you can see it, because to go from something that we had, which was so good, for not be there at all, it must be so tough. And the money's irrelevant. Everyone goes on a footballer to pay for it. It doesn't matter, because your routine has changed as an athlete, a highly tuned athlete. Your routine has completely changed. And I feel for them, because it must be so hard. It must be so hard to know what it was like when a crowd is full Anfield to score, and there's literally like clapping. Do you know what I mean? Like it's mad. So yeah.
You've literally just summed up like one of the discussions we had on a previous podcast, and I was with you saying people don't realise how much different our fans are to other fans, and what it must be like for a player playing in front of nobody as opposed to them fans. You know what I mean? And it must be a massive difference. I was going to ask you, did you go to many games in that as a kid?
Yeah, so I think my dad took me to one game. I must have been it was when Gary McAllister scored against Everton, a free kick. And I had, he was carrying me in his arms. So I must have been about 7, because I was on my feet, but obviously he took me in the stands and stuff. I remember him jumping about, and I had one of them horns you blow, and he jumped up and it caught my lip and it was bleeding, and he had to go and get paper. It was one of them mad stories, but he, so I remember going as a kid, but then obviously going up wanting to go to match because to get a ticket as a disabled person is an absolute nightmare. Not just at Liverpool, but any Premiership ground is a nightmare. So I tried to get a season ticket, and they said if you weren't on the list before 2011, there's no chance of getting a season ticket because the list's full. So as soon as someone drops out, the list from 2011 just carries on. So I won't be getting a season ticket until God knows when. And to go and get a match, you've obviously got to go through your doctor's stuff, show your blue badge, and get it so that you're obviously a disabled fan. But then you go into a ballot. So I could say I want to go to a match. You can't pick your match. You get just given a match that you can go to. So I was lucky enough that one of my mates, who's in a wheelchair, he got a season ticket. He had it for years, and he needed a carer. And I went as his carer, more or less, and just bunged him out the price of the ticket. So that's how I used to go to matches, really. And I mean, I don't know how it works. He's both in wheelchairs, he was the carer, but he was in an electric wheelchair, so he looked more disabled than me. So I was like, yeah, you can't discriminate against me. But like, so I went to matches with him and just done that sort of thing. And unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago, so I've not been for it since 2018 now. But yeah, just a mad experience of going to the tunnel in the ground. And after Rio as well, I was lucky enough to get invited to a Liverpool match VIP. So I went to Legends Lounge and got invited by Liverpool to go in and meet some of the players. And I went on at half time and give a little speech in front of the cop and stuff. So yeah, it's mad. And Jurgen Klopp came over. So it was me. There was 3 Paralympians. There was me. There was another lad who got medals. I was the only one without a medal. Obviously, I'm quite a well-known Liverpool fan, so they'd asked me to go as well. And Klopp comes running over as the players are like coming out for half time, and he goes, can we get a picture? I was like, yeah. He said, can you get your medal out? And I was like, I've not got one, lad. It was really, really awkward. And he went, no, I don't know if it's all right. And I was like, yeah, fair enough, mate. So there's a picture somewhere on Klopp's phone of me and him, just like, because he's still got the picture. And like, just mad experiences. And I remember Sturridge running over, saying hello, and yeah, just incredible. And I remember my dad was sat next to Alan Hansen all match. I took my dad with me, and the Legends Lounge, basically, get a 3-course meal. Everyone's suited and booted and all that. And Legends walk around. They just pay Legends to walk around. So it was like Gary McAllister there. I think Ian Rush was there. Alan Hansen, a lot was there. So we sat with everyone, and lucky enough, Alan Hansen sat next to my dad. So, and he's given me dad shit all match. Like, listen to all the banter. Just like, down me, Henderson had a free kick on the edge of the box. And my dad goes, it's going to go top bins here. And he's scoring. Alan goes, nah, it's not. It's going in the crowd here. He can't score for me. And my dad's going, nah, I'll be score. Henderson spoonies it in the crowd. They got in the crowd. Alan turns to my dad and goes, and that's why you win a match a day, dickhead. Like, that's my dad. My dad was like, I'm using that anecdote in the pub for the rest of my life. Just like, honestly, it's one of the most surreal days I've ever had. It's just, yeah, it's just mad. So I'm lucky. I'm thankful for Liverpool Football Club for inviting me and doing stuff like that. So the club's been a massive part of my life. I'm sure it has for you boys as well. It's not just following a sport. It's a lifelong thing to do, isn't it? And if you live and breathe the club, it's a lot different than just watching it as an armchair fan. So
yeah, definitely. It ruins my weekend when we don't win. We win quite often, don't we?
Yeah, ruined a few weekends this season, like. But,
absolutely. Yeah.
We won't go too much into that. Who's your favourite player as a kid?
Favourite player as a kid, it has to be Gerrard. Cliche Gerrard, but I remember like Milan Baros, loving Baros and El Hadj Diouf and all them sort of players, and growing up watching it. Yeah, I don't know why. I just thought his hair was dead cool. He was terrible. Don't get me wrong, he was bad. I used to hate Jimmy Traore. Like, I don't know why. My dad used to call him Jimmy the Clown. Like when he was trying to do stuff.
You know what? Everyone hated Jimmy Traore, and then he done that. He got off the line in Istanbul.
Yeah. And everyone loved him.
He'd walk around forever, Liverpool now. Yeah. He's a legend.
Yeah, I remember Jersey Dudek obviously being a hero in Champions League final. I remember they come out with a song, Do the Dudek. I don't remember it coming out. I remember singing it around school all the time, like, come on and do the Dudek. Just all that coming out. And so I think, obviously Gerrard's my favourite player, but I just idolised the team. And Sammy Houpier as well. Used to love watching him just clear out headers and stuff. So,
yeah.
I remember going on the tour when we won the Champions League, and there was a fella there with long, lovely hair, long black hair, and a blue cap on. And I turned out to my cousin, and he knocked me ma. We got me ma and dad, and she was like, "That's Milan Baros." And I went, "It's not." I was only, I think I was 14. We just won the Champions League. Yeah. That's Milan Baros, and Milan Baros had come in the tour to look at the cup, and he was just there in his own clobber and that. And I've got a photo of him. I'm white as a sheet, shitting myself, Milan Baros. And it was brilliant. I loved Owen as a kid, mate.
Owen, yeah.
On every kit. And then when he become a rat and got off, Gerrard and Carragher, your main idols.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But we've all made questionable decisions. I remember getting that the yellow Reebok top from that season.
Oh yeah.
And got Morientes on the back after we signed him. I was up with Morientes.
Yeah. So, Alonso as well. I used to love John Arne when John Arne used to just smash free kicks in. Remember when he broke Alan Smith's leg when he volleyed? Like, I was like, get in. Like,
Liverpool fan was taking the ambulance when he was on his way down. Honestly, I used to get my auntie Janet to flip me fringe up. So little fat ones as well. She'd flip me fringe up, and I'd score on the field with 3 of my cousins, and I'd have to chop out me head.
It was only last week as well, that.
Do you know what? Sometimes I'll spit a chewy out though, and I do like I'll spit a chewy out and aim for the bin and kick it, and I'll shout Gerrard still one shout.
Yeah, it always will be. I think it's just something about it. You just got to shout it. I don't know. My head fell off here. So, can you remember what you were doing for Istanbul?
Yeah, I was in the house watching it, as I say, as a kid watching it, and just waiting for ages doing it, and it was what I've talked about this on another podcast, a Liverpool podcast last week, and just having the buzzer on it, because I'm one of them Liverpool fans. If we score one, we've got to score 3 before I know we're going to win. Like, it's one of them sort of things. So we scored 1, and I was like, we scored 1 here. 2 goals in after 2 minutes, and like, that's Smyce has done well there. Do you know what I mean? We've got it, and you can see it draining out of that AC Milan squad, because not only that squad that AC had was unbelievable. Crespo,
that's one of the best teams in the world ever.
It was unbelievable, and you could just see them shaking like a shitting dog, like when the ball's coming. Do you know what I mean? Like, just coming round, and you can see the momentum just change. And obviously, being in sport now, I know how momentum works. Now you can use it in front, but you could sense it watching it. And I remember it vividly, just watching it and seeing how it goes. And some absolutely mad experience when that third goal goes in, and the double save from Dudek and Shevchenko missing the penalty. Just absolutely couldn't make it up. If you wrote a story, you would not want to believe it. It's mad, like absolutely is mad. So
I went to every home game that season.
Yeah,
every Champions League game as well. And my sister bought us 2 tickets in the AC Milan end for Istanbul, and my mum wouldn't let me go. So my sister went and was tanked up at half time, phoning me saying, "We're going to win this, lad. Don't you worry." I said to her, "Listen, dickhead, get off my phone, you're embarrassing me." Said to my dad at half time, "This is going to be 7-0 Milan, this." It's completely embarrassing. And he went, "Listen, support them, get behind them, and if they score within the first 10 minutes of the second half, you've got a chance." The first goal was the 54th minute, and by the 60th, it was 3-0.
Yeah,
I always remember that.
Mad.
We were
Really
with my granddad.
Yeah.
He's passed away now, but I always remember every time we get to a final now, I go and put ribbon on his grave, because every time Liverpool had the ball, we'd lash ribbon on his head. He couldn't even watch the match. He's going, fuck off. Putting ribbon all over him. But that's what
I don't know if it's just Liverpool fans, but we seem to be so superstitious with stuff like that. Like, my family's all exactly the same. So my nan, like on my other nan on my dad's side, she's a massive Red, but she hasn't watched the game on telly for years, because once she listened to it on the radio and we won. So ever since, she stays in the kitchen, listens to it on the radio. Swear to God. Like, honestly, it's mad. Or like, I remember my dad watching the match, and it's something like he tapped my wheelchair 3 times and we scored. So like, every match he was like tapping me, it's mad stuff like that. Or he goes to match. So if you got to pie at half time and someone scored within 10 minutes, he'd do it next week. And if it didn't work, he'd try something else. Or like Lucky Undies. And I don't know if any clubs are the same, but everyone I know is a big Liverpool fan that have these mad superstitions. It's mental.
Yeah. In our house, if someone scores and you've got to stay in that position or whatever you do for the rest of the game. Then if you were having a shit when we scored, you've got to go back and Lucky.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you're right. I think it is only like Liverpool fans that do weird shit like that. But it's what makes us unique, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Go on.
Go on, Jay.
Go on. It's all right.
No, it's all right.
We're being too polite here. Go.
Go on, mate. I'm drinking now.
He's drinking now. Fuck off. So, how does Istanbul then compare for you with the night that we won the league?
Yeah, I mean, the night that we won the league was bittersweet for me, because it was one of them, didn't we, that I never thought it was going to happen till it actually happened. So we were lifting that cup, and there was 2 train of thoughts. I was buzzing that we won the league. I was buzzing that we'd done it. But to watch it in front of no crowd, to watch them do it, the fireworks are boss, the display was boss, but I remember sitting there crying, like with tears up my eyes. My girlfriend's going, "What are you crying for?" I was lifting the trophy. I was like, "But you don't understand the experience that we've been through. We haven't done it in God knows how long, and all that sort of stuff." I can just imagine what it would have been like on the Cop, and just seeing what it would have been like, and the stadium full and all that sort of stuff. And I do sort of wish Gerrard's in the squad as well. Obviously he wasn't, but it was one of the things that Istanbul, we had that experience in front of the crowd, but I can't wait for us to lift the trophy in front of a full stadium, because I think we will celebrate that league win just as much as the one that we get next time with the crowd, because it felt like it was taken away from us a little bit. I feel like when the football stopped, we were obviously in a boss position and we could only really lose it. That makes sense. But it's a strange experience. And to watch it, I was like, I'm gutted for the players, gutted for the players that they haven't got that experience. But yeah, to do it was mad, and United could shut up for a bit, which is nice. So,
I was the same with him in regards to when City lost to Chelsea, and that's when we won the league. And I was saying, I don't want it to be like that. I want to see the players running around the pitch knowing we've won the league. Absolutely, and then seeing the videos then of them all in the hotel and them partying. And then I've got shivers now. Me and my cousin come here at half time. We got a crate of ale. We should know, but we'll win the league. We got a crate of ale. As soon as he walked in the door, I think De Bruyne scored for City, and it was 1-1. So I was like, I knew as soon as you come through that bastard door, they were going to score. And then obviously the penalty and all that. Went and watched the last 2 minutes in my Mar and Daz, socially distanced around the telly, literally. I took a flare with me. I set a flare off in my Mar and Daz garden at full time. We had a bevy, and then me and my cousin jumped in the car and went to Anfield, and it was like unbelievable. Like I've never felt like that before. I never thought I'd experience anything like Istanbul again. That night at Anfield was as close as you'll ever get. I think it was unbelievable.
Oh, for sure,
Oh, it was great. What's been your personal highlight under Jurgen Klopp? I know we've won the league and Champions League and stuff. But what's been for you the biggest moments?
Biggest moment for us would be probably the Champions League. I think the Tottenham Champions League was one for me. Finally winning a Champions League under Klopp as well. I think there was a lot of talk when he came in of this big name manager. Do you know what I mean? Like taking over and all that sort of stuff. And when we did actually win the European and stuff like that, that was one of my biggest memory of Klopp doing it, because we've persevered. Like, I'm just fucking idiots talking now about getting rid of Klopp and all that sort of stuff. It's ridiculous. Like, what he's done for this club is massive. Like, no one realizes how much he's done for that team. The mentality, the way he treats the players, the atmosphere around the ground, the staff. I mean, I was speaking to Stephen Walnock a few weeks ago, and he was saying like how different it is, and he's good friends at Milner, and he was saying what the different preparations and everything to go to. He's transformed the club. So to actually win the titles that we wanted him to do and to perform doing that it is special. So yeah, I'd say the Champions League we won it. So yeah,
I don't think people realise that with Klopp, he's built a team to perform for an audience and a crowd. And without the crowd, the team aren't the same. I've tried to say it to everybody, and
no,
some people
true,
accept it, some people don't. But I don't think them players, if they were playing for another team in Europe, would be as good. I think he's built them around a crowd, and I think that's why they are so good.
Well, you look at Salah when he went to Chelsea. He wasn't very good at all. Do you know what I mean? Like he flopped. Like a lot of them players weren't top players, and Klopp golden them. And I think that's the difference is the way he's built around it. And he, for me, it feels that the players are now fighting for the fans, are fighting for Klopp, are fighting for the club, because wearing that badge means something to them players. Whereas a lot of the players are just, you see at a lot of clubs where they just earn a pay packet, aren't they? They could be any club. They've been to 25 clubs. They've been season pros at many Premiership clubs, but then players look like they're playing for the badge, playing for the club. And I say with the crowd, it must be so hard. It must, because you know that people are watching on telly, you know all that, but it's not the same, is it? Like it's not the same as having someone accountable in front of you doing it. So yeah, for sure.
You mentioned about like Klopp with the players and stuff like that. You've only got to look at someone like Gini Wijnaldum. There's no way.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's no way you'd be getting a move to Barcelona if it wasn't for Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah. Before we had Klopp, can you imagine him talking about Wijnaldum going to Barcelona? Like you'd be laughed at. Absolutely laughed at. Was he at Newcastle before us? He'd be laughed at when you if you were saying that. Look at Henderson. Henderson was a mid-table player, wasn't he? When before we got hold of him, and now you look at him now, like leading the team to a Premiership. So yeah, I think his man management is obviously his tactical prowess is good, but his man management is people, and everyone I've met Klopp for a few minutes, but people I know that I've met him, I can't speak highly enough of him. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he's one of them sort of people that lives and breathes it, and I want him to stay for a very long time. I don't know why even people are entertaining it of trying to get him out. It's ridiculous. Like, it really is.
It's just reactioning dickheads on Twitter, mostly, isn't it?
Absolutely, wolves,
more or less. Yeah, basically. No, but when things aren't going right, they want a reaction straight away. So it's like, we only won one. It's like, you see them, we only won 1-0. We should have been beating them 3-0. It's like, who's asked? It's 3 points.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I think I put a tweet out before we beat Wolves, and I was like, I'm not bothered how we win. I don't care if it bounced off Salah's arse. I don't care if it comes off. I just want the win. Like, I'm not bothered how we do it. Yeah, I'm not bothered, yeah. It's just the crazy
generation, isn't it? The FIFA generation are like, if you don't score a couple of goals on that, you go and spend 50, 60 mil on the game, and you literally think that's real life. Like Fenway Sports get absolute hell off this generation because they're not putting their hands in their own pocket all the time and they're spending what you receive. But that's how you run a business. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Don't sell something for 200 mil and then go and spend 900 mil, because that's not how you be a business, is it?
Yeah. Do you know what I think a big thing is that Football Manager? I think everyone plays Football Manager and thinks I'd be bossed at that, you know, and be much better than Klopp at Football Manager. Do you know what I mean? Like, people have played it and think, oh, they're amazing at it. But obviously it's so much different than that. But people think they get the idea, don't they, from like FIFA and games like that of, it's just a quick easy of like get in, get out. Who are you going to get in that's better than Klopp at the moment? People are talking about Gerrard coming in. Yeah, Gerrard would be nice after Klopp when he's established. But whoever comes in after Klopp's going to be like Alex Ferguson when he leaves. Hopefully. You look at David Moyes, decent manager, but who are you going to follow? Whoever followed him was going to struggle.
I reckon Ferguson's on a number on him there. I think he
absolutely, absolutely.
And he made it show him. And it made Ferguson look even better, because when you look at that team, they won that
100%,
oh my God, how's he done it? And that's why you have great managers.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Obviously, this season, we mentioned a little while ago, this season isn't exactly going to plan, in the league at least anyway. Are you confident we'll bounce back next season?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot made of the injuries, isn't there, and all that sort of stuff. And yes, we should probably have a thicker squad and buy more centre-backs and all that sort of stuff. But the partnership is what, for me, is so much difficult. The impact it has on Alisson of having that defensive line changing with Henderson. Henderson as a centre-back done well, but he's not a centre-back, do you know what I mean? Having them players rotating around. Van Dijk was such a massive signing for us when we got him. People were laughing, why have you paid 80 million for a defender or whatever you pay for him? Like, but you look at how we transform that team. It's not so much about the players and positions, because all footballers will do all right in certain positions, but it's the leadership of it. It's knowing your mate is in that place exactly at that time, and all that sort of stuff. I think when we get that solid partnership, we were unstoppable. And I think once we get the injury sorted out, I think it will be a lot different. We will bounce back. And I mean, we've banged on about this pod, but like the crowd as well. I think once we get that sorted out, it'll be a massive, massive influence. And I can see us being up there for many a year. And the league standard is getting a lot better. You look at the totals throughout the years of winning tallies for City and us and all that sort of, the standard's getting higher and higher. But I think we'll definitely bounce back next season. I can't see why we wouldn't.
So the season's obviously not over yet. Can you hear us? Can you hear Istanbul calling? Can you hear
oh, can you imagine? Can you imagine, mate? Oh, I'll be in my undies. Yeah. I wonder if you get arrested in a wheelchair and take your chair off you. Like, I'm going to get arrested. If that happens to us, I'll be running around, mate. My legs will start working. Honestly, I just want them sort of call me for it. Like, everyone compare. Like, I think it was a Carragher who said it on Sky a few weeks ago that it was going to happen. I can generally say, imagine if it happens. Just imagine if it goes down.
Do you think it can, though?
Yeah, I think why not? Like, why not? You'd always believe, mate. We'd be 3-0 down and try and believe after Istanbul, like after the first time we did it. So I mean, we put a good performance against Leipzig. To be fair, like I thought it was all right, and we got back to the way of it. All right, the game wasn't the best game in the world, but I thought we ground out the win quite well. So Madrid next round is obviously tough, but the Madrid side's not as strong as it used to be. It's not Madrid's a big name, but the players we've got at the moment aren't actually. It's probably the worst Madrid team in the last few years, so we've got a big chance there. To be fair, like Definitely. We get through that. I think as well. They won't want to face us because people know the history that we've had with them sort of stuff. And Madrid won't be one of the faces doing that. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, we'll see. But I really, really hope so, mate. I really, really hope so.
There's loads of lads who've booked flights because they obviously the travel ban ends on the 17th of May.
Yeah.
And the finals after that. And the amount of lads I know who've booked it. I was contemplating booking it. And again, I went to Kiev. We lost the final. I had a ticket to Madrid. Went to loads of games that season, but it gave me ticket away to watch it in the hotel in the fucking Shandon. But I feel like I'm just never going to see us win the European Cup. I asked my dad if he fancied booking Istanbul, and he said no. So, I've got a good feeling about it. I think we'll be there. Like,
no, it'd be something special if we do, but it's definitely not beyond possibility, is it? Like, it'd be good to see.
No, over 2 legs, you can never count us out.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you mentioned obviously Gerrard is basically your hero. Have you been keeping an eye on him at Rangers this season? What have you made of his achievement?
Do you know what I thought? I'll be honest. I didn't think he'd do as well as he has done. I mean, the different levels of the Scottish Premiership. Okay, the standard's not there. You can argue all them sort of points, but I think the biggest thing for me is the way he's conducted himself, the way he's run the team, the way you look at the situation they had about the racism thing, the way he conducted that. He was just so professional about it, and he comes across as a manager now. He doesn't come across as Steven Gerrard, the footballer, as trying to be a manager. He comes across as an absolute manager, and I think the players want to play for him. That's half the battle in football nowadays, and I think he's done really well. And I'm happy to hear that he wants to be a Liverpool manager in the future. Obviously, we can't do that too soon. I think we've got to be careful when we do that, because you could quite easily mess that up, couldn't you? But yeah, I'm really happy the way he's done at Rangers. Hopefully, longer may continue. I think he had that sort of that lead attitude, didn't he? You look at when he slipped and all that stuff. He was the absolute leader, wasn't he, of doing that? And I think going into managing, he's definitely took that forward. So yeah, I'm really surprised and impressed the way he's conducted himself there. Actually, with a tough environment. Scotland's it's quite a bit hostile place sometimes, isn't it? So to have your first managing job as Rangers, it's a tough one, but he's handled it well. To be fair to him, like, you can't moan.
Yeah, it's jumping in the deep end, isn't it? Like,
absolutely, yeah.
I mean, to go unbeaten in more or less, I think they've lost 2 games all season in all competitions. It's like ridiculous. It's unheard of, even in Scotland. So it's fantastic. We're gonna finish off with a few little hypothetical questions for you here. So, if you could choose any retired player who never played for Liverpool, who's the one player you would have loved to have seen in a red shirt?
Oh, big question. This might sound a bit odd, you know, but Ballack, I reckon he could have been decent, you know. I remember watching him growing up. Ballack was decent.
Ballack?
Yeah, I'm going to go with him, you know. He'd been all right.
Yeah, he was quality, to be fair. Like.
Yeah. I don't know why it popped in my head, but I remember as a kid watching him, he's decent, you know. Because everyone talks about Ronaldo and Messi and all them sort of stuff, but yeah, I'd go with Ballack, you know.
Who's yours, Jay?
I'd probably have to go either Thierry Henry or Dennis Bergkamp.
Oh, yeah, nice, yeah.
Yeah,
Freddie
Thierry
Lundberg.
Henry.
Yeah.
Thierry Henry, for me, I absolutely idolise him. And do you know what? Didier Drogba as well. I think he's one of the best players playing in the league. I hated him when he played for Chelsea because of everything he was about. He was their Suarez when he was a rat.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Oh, mate, he was absolutely brilliant.
It's quality, yeah. I really wish we had a stable keeper as well. I always wish we had like a Neuer, but before we got Alisson, we were messing about with the keepers and stuff. I really wish we had a really, really solid keeper like your Van der Sars or even your Bartez's like back in the day. Do you know what I mean? Just someone who was solid, well known at the back, but. Yeah, we could have had plenty of players over. We imagine if you got everyone together that we've been rumoured with over the years and seen what team we had. It'd be mental. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've always been that team that rumoured, never got anyone. So
I think we'd have about 7 starting 11s.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's on you now.
It's not. I finish off with the last 2, lad.
Yeah, we're up to the last 2.
Apologies. Right. We are amateurs. I love it. If there was any ex-Liverpool player you could bring back to play under Jurgen Klopp, who would it be?
Under Jurgen Klopp? Oh, it's got to be Gerrard to win the title. I know he might have played underneath him, but I think I'd bring him back to win the title. I think I'd bring a prime Gerrard back to lead. The Henderson's doing well, but I think, it has to be Gerrard. I'd love to see Gerrard. Carragher would be good in the back, especially nowadays. Carragher would be amazing, but... I'd absolutely would have loved to see Gerrard lift that cup. So I'd bring back Gerrard till he's about 45 to lift the cup, I think. Just have him on the bench, bring him on at like 90th minute. Bring him on just limping about like they do in Soccer Aid. You know, just bring him on.
It's going to be all right, probably.
To fair, he'd probably put a shift in, wouldn't
he? Yeah. It's probably Rangers' best player, to be honest. So
probably is, yeah.
Who would you have, Jay? I like including all of us in the questions. You say you think it's
I think at the minute with Firmino not really firing on all cylinders, I'd go with like a Robbie Fowler.
Nice, yeah.
Just an out and out goal scorer. Yeah. Doesn't have to look up, knows where it is, and is just going to bury it every time.
Yeah.
Torres.
Really? I knew that one.
Yeah. I love him. I absolutely hate that. I love him, but I just love him. You know, he broke my heart.
Yeah. Jay cried when he left.
Do you know what was worse, lad? When we were pretending to be excited that Andy Carroll was in a helicopter on the way.
Oh my God, yeah.
Torres and we're all looking for helicopters with Andy Carroll. I'm going to end it on a bit of a sad note. Obviously, Klopp is more than likely going to leave in 2024.
Yeah.
Who would be your ideal replacement?
The obvious answer would be Gerrard, but I don't know whether we should go Gerrard straight away from Klopp, you know. I think we probably should. It's going to inevitably happen. Hopefully, if he wins a lot more cups in the next 3 years, who do you replace him with? You could pick any sort of manager. I'm gonna go. This is gonna sound odd, but I'm gonna go Mourinho so he flops, so he doesn't manage again, and then we'll go Gerrard. That's what I'm gonna do. Someone like an Ancelotti or someone who's gonna big name gonna flop, and then we'll get Gerrard in to clear it out. Like Joe used to Roy Hodgson back in the day.
Football to Marino. It would be like going to Hodgson, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Big Sam Allardyce ball over the top.
I think, do you know what I think? It'd be if Klopp leaves and we're champions of everything again, we're champions of Europe, and we've got a massive foundation like we have now, and Gerrard can step in and just take on and sort of manage it like Klopp did. I think it'd be perfect. But he's got to leave on perfect terms, sort of thing.
Exactly,
otherwise, as you say, you need someone to come in. And then Gerrard save us, sort of thing. That's how it would be perceived.
Who would you bring in?
Me?
Yeah.
I'd leave it to Pep Linders for a few seasons and see how he goes. I wouldn't like the thought of Klopp not being there.
I don't like it.
And it makes it a little bit better with the thought of Gerrard coming in. And then imagine having Gerrard with like Carragher as assistants and Alonso's and that getting involved. But he's obviously a manager now. But yeah, I think Pep Linders, keep it safe. He'll play the same system. You know the players and all that. Get someone in, like what he used to do in the old times. And he'd have Ronnie Moran under someone or Roy Evans under someone. Keep it in the club. And then Gerrard eventually.
Yeah. I think I'd go Pep Linders, as you say. Or one whose name doesn't seem to get thrown about is that Nagelsmann, the Leipzig one. I think he'd do a good job in a few years. I think he's only like 33, 34. He's younger than Milner, so like. But to be fair, everyone's younger than Milner.
Milner's been around since he's about 10, isn't he? Like he literally was been around.
And he still looked the oldest fella on the pitch. Then.
You know what? He's great though, isn't he?
I remember going back and speaking to Stephen Warnock a few weeks ago, and he said he's one of like best mates of Will Milner, and he said he's an absolute consummate professional. He's the one who's like on the training ground before it starts, after it ends, running up the players, sorting out the young players. He said he's an absolute consummate professional, keeps himself in good shape all the time. Like he loves the game. He said he's never changed, and his passion's still there for it, the way he speaks. So
he still pisses the bleep test as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a workhorse
every season.
Yeah. He's definitely one of the most underrated Premiership players at the moment. The most underrated player. The shift he puts in, he's like an old Dirk Kuyt, you know what I mean? It's the absolute workhorse that come on, you can rely on, like coming in and doing a job for us. He might not be able to do the full 90 minutes now, but he comes on and does a job. Like, do you know what I mean? And he's always, he'll never have a worldie, but he'll never have a shite game. He's one of them sort of players where you can rely on him in them sort of situations. So yeah, Milner. Love Milner.
He's one of them, he's never done anything like world class, but sometimes hard work beats, you know, talent. And I think he's obviously got talent, but the way he puts in, he's been brilliant for us.
I wouldn't like to watch his highlight reel, but I like to watch him in the matches. You know what I mean? Like he's one of them.
I remember before we got him, I always thought he was shite. Me too. Yeah, never understood what he brought to a team, and then it was a little bit before we got him. To be fair, I started really recognising what he does bring, and I think we always endeared ourselves to players like that who are workhorses. You know, your Hendersons, your Wijnaldum kind of thing. You know, you said yourself, Jay, like, you don't really understand Wijnaldum's game unless you're at the match and you're watching him all the time. Same with Henderson. So we've got a sort of a little place in our heart for players like that. And Milner's the ultimate player like that.
Yeah.
He's great.
For sure.
But Jack, it's been absolutely brilliant talking to you.
Cheers, boys.
Really appreciate you coming on.
No, thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Not a problem. Best of luck for Tokyo.
Thanks very much.
We'll be rooting for you. And as I say, we'll get you back on when you've got a gold medal around your neck.
Sounds good to me, mate. Sounds good. Cheers, boys.
Thanks for coming on, lad. I really appreciate it. Being inspirational as well. And I think anyone listening, everything you've discussed about your personal life and that might hit home with someone. And even tonight, you could have possibly fucking saved a life, lad, the way you've spoke.
Hope so, mate. Hope so. It's all worthwhile if that happens for me. That's what more than the medals, more than anything else. If I can help someone, then that's my job done. That's what I want to do. So yeah, thanks, boys.
I'm sure you keep doing it, lad. So nice one for coming on.
Cheers. Thank you.
Take care.
Cheers, mate. See you later.
Cheers, mate. Bye.